Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. If you've watched this program for any length of time, you know that my former co-host, Chelsea Haviland-Miskin, and I were very excited to talk about anything to do with space, technology, exploration, any of that, and we brought you lots of stories about it. But we're getting it right from the source today. I'm so very excited to invite Kathy Laurini here. She's the Senior Advisor of Exploration and Space Operations for NASA. Welcome to the program. Wow, it's great to have you. Thanks to Felicia Maxfield-Barrett with the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy. She is the Communications Director for making this possible.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome.
I couldn't be happier. I really owe you. Wow. You know, I love what the Council for Citizen Diplomacy does in the way of bringing international speakers. So many great opportunities for us to realize that we're all very much the same. We have certainly realized that in space when it comes to our International Space Station, and also with, you go back to some of the earlier missions, the Soyuz missions, so many different programs that have brought us closer together with, you know, what at one time was our enemy.
Right, right.
That is an important part of what you'll be speaking at the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy, because it just makes sense that we all start to get together, especially when we get out there a little more in the vastness of space.
Yeah, we've been working with several international space agencies over the last, 30 years. It started on the Space Shuttle program, and it's really expanded on the International Space Station program to include the Russians. And together we bring unique skills and expertise, and it leads to a much better outcome for people all over the world,
Indeed.
Not only here in the U.S.
Well, and we've had to rely on them a little bit to get our people to the space station, haven't we?
That's
Since we shut down the Space Shuttle program, our launches are all happening out of, what, Vladivostok or somewhere?
Out of Baikonur.
Baikonur, oh, wow.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, when we retired the Space Shuttle, we have to rely on since we retired the Space Shuttle, we have to rely on the Russians. And they're great partners. They're very reliable, good to work with, and they have great hardware, great systems. So,
yeah, they're using still some very traditional stuff. What was the last thing that they went up on?
Soyuz. So the Soyuz existed 30, 40 years ago, and they've just evolved it over time. Modernized electronics, modernized other subsystems of the vehicle, but it's still the basic workhorse of their program. Still
in their great big rocket. They're still using the same thing.
They're still using the Soyuz launcher for the humans. Yeah.
Good grief.
They've upgraded upper stage. They've upgraded components, of course, as parts, parts that they used 40 years ago they can't get a hold of anymore. And
it's amazing.
Technology has improved, so.
I've got to ask you, I want to get to the, obviously to the international function of this for sure, but as we've seen the budget for NASA get cut under the Obama administration, and now it looks like it might get cut even a little bit more under the Trump administration, what are we looking for a future with NASA? What does it look like for all this?
Well, the outlook is pretty good. In fact, the cuts that we received during the Obama administration were really tied to the sequestration, right? The broader U.S. government efforts to control the debt and the deficit. So, and in the NASA sense, they really were not very big. They were small. So we've enjoyed broad bipartisan support, which is very helpful. And the first look at the budget we have from this administration is not too bad. It's a very modest decrease, but it reflects the support that we're getting from the administration so far. So we're feeling pretty good.
Does it also reflect the support we're getting from the community of business too? Is that part of this?
There's that's been a very exciting development of the last say 5 years in space and human space flight in particular.
You guys must love Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is bringing so much energy and innovation and motivating others. So he's great. And we're partnering with his company SpaceX to deliver astronauts from American soil to the International Space Station as soon as next year. So we've got a deal with SpaceX, Elon, and also with Boeing to deliver crew to the International Space Station. So what's going on in the private sector is very exciting, and it opens up a lot of opportunities for partnership with us, which we're pursuing vigorously.
The other thing that opens up is the partnership of getting Joe to space, which is really important. That's the most important part. How do I get there?
Hopefully, someday our vision for low Earth orbit is that it will be a private sector-dominated sphere, and instead of NASA or governments owning the platform in low Earth orbit, you can purchase services from a private company, and that includes, the ability to do research or technology demonstration, but also to be a tourist. So hopefully the technology and the innovation will get it to the point where it's affordable for regular people like me and you, but we're not there yet.
Kathy, have we had a reporter in space yet?
I don't think so.
Good.
No. Yeah, you could be the first.
That's exactly the plan. I've got I put in my time in the Air Force. I'm just going to give you my resume.
Okay.
Put in my time in the Air Force. Put in my time as a journalist.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
All right. How's your health?
Stellar.
You said you were sick this morning at the
Yeah,
start of the
no,
broadcast.
not at all. Not even a cough. No, I'm stellar. I can't wait to go.
Okay.
No, this is so exciting. You guys have got to love this with the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy, because there is so much that's happening internationally when we talk about space exploration. It really is take the world to do what we're trying to do.
Oh, absolutely. And, as our name says, citizen diplomacy, it's this idea that everybody has the right and the responsibility to help shape foreign policy one handshake at a time. But when we were deciding who we wanted to come speak for our World Affair lecture series, we said, why stop at Earth? Why not look at space and see how international cooperation is taking place in an area that doesn't have borders and where we all have to get along on a space station.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have Kathy as she's our final speaker for this season, and then we'll start up again in the fall.
It's a great way to end.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we know that, there are no, we haven't partitioned out space. We've got our flag on the moon. We're going to go with that, right? That's ours.
We do. Well, we signed some treaties that that prohibit us from claiming it, but
we like to think it is. So
but we're certainly the leaders, right? So and if space exploration is going to proceed the way we envision it, with Mars as our long-term, horizon goal, if you will, it's going to take U.S. leadership, and we're prepared to do it. And
that's right.
A lot of international partner agencies are interested in being part of the endeavor. So
yeah, so it might be a very multinational looking flag out there on Mars when we get there.
Perhaps.
How close are we really? I mean, I know Musk said, 30, 40 years. Are we within that?
Oh, well, what's going on? Yes, let me tell you what's going on in NASA right now. So we are investing in a new heavy lift launch vehicle called the Space Launch System. That the first iteration the first version of it with crew will be the biggest rocket ever built. And with this heavy lift launcher and the Orion capsule, which is undergoing its final testing for its first flight together with the Space Launch System early 2019. We will have the foundational capabilities to begin exploration. And so our first missions that we envision are to this area around the moon, the lunar vicinity. It's a region, a proving ground, we kind of call it. It's an opportunity to test out the new systems, understand the new environment. It turns out low Earth orbit is, we don't understand how to manage the risks now. We know it, but going into deep space, including the area around the moon, so the radiation environment is different, the thermal environment is different. We're further away from home. So we're talking about spending a little bit of time around the moon, not long, but just to understand, validate our systems, and understand the risks, and then perhaps building from these stable orbits around the moon. We can use them as staging posts, if you will, to go back to the surface of the moon if that's what we decide to do, or to stage a Mars spacecraft to go on missions to Mars. So the journey will start in about 2 years' time. Crew will fly in 2021, and those missions will start very, very soon. So.
Wow. Okay, that's a way different outlook than I'd had previously.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So when you guys were looking for astronauts a couple months ago, you weren't kidding.
No, we're serious. In fact, they're getting close to picking a new class.
Oh my goodness, that is so exciting. Yeah.
And we talk a lot about Mars as a driving goal because it's, there's so much to learn at Mars, and how inspiring is it to see, to be working on a program that will ultimately get people to Mars. It's something that excites people all around the world.
We keep seeing new little discoveries from Mars. Suddenly we find a little, what looks like a riverbed. We've found some things that might be better indicators of life. There's some really exciting stuff happening there every day.
There's a lot of compelling evidence that there was liquid water on Mars at one point, and there was Mars had a a thicker atmosphere than it does now. So what happened to it? So
Indeed.
all these questions help us understand not only our place in the universe, but what might be the future of Earth.
I want to take a break and I want to come back. I want to ask you about these new solar systems that we found.
Okay.
Right?
TRAPPIST-1.
Yeah, I'm excited
Okay.
about that. Before we take the break, though, one question everybody wants to know. Now, we were talking about going around the moon a little bit, maybe in orbit, maybe land again. Can we just get out there and get a couple pictures of the flag so everybody knows that we really were there?
Oh, we got those already.
You got them, huh? They're available on the...
I don't know if they're available, but we have
I've heard that you have pictures that show that the flag is there.
We have the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter is
Yep.
orbiting the moon now, and it has been for several years, and it's got fantastic cameras on board and takes some pictures so we can see Apollo. We got nice pictures of Apollo landing sites, and those are available. Just search Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter,
Why do
LRO.
we put that stuff to bed? Let's do it. All right, we're going to take a break, come back and talk about some of the most exciting parts of our future in space right after these messages. Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. Off air, I was going to talk about this, but it just seems like we should do this right on air and just kind of explain the nerd level that I really have reached as a child when it comes to space. And I'm doing that with Kathy Laurini. We're continuing our conversation. She is the Senior Advisor of Exploration and Space Operations for NASA. Okay, so 1981, in my home in the morning, 5 a.m., with a TV tray with my space shuttle mock-up model. On one corner of the table, my cassette tape recorder to record all the audio from television because we didn't have VCRs, recording every minute of the launch, and even adding my own commentary, of course, to it. I still have these tapes somewhere.
That's precious.
And then also calling in and spending a small fortune of my parents' money on the phone call to Sally Ride while she was in space. We could listen to her talking. I'm, of course, just utterly enamored with space exploration. And to have you here is just thrilling. I got to tell you that, first of all. But I'm really excited to talk about some of the future exciting things that are happening there. We're obviously looking for a place to start over if we really screw this planet up much more, right?
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
I hope it doesn't. But you guys are kind of looking to see what other things are out there. And you've found a place with several possibilities, right? This is a real new, exciting discovery.
Well, we have an initiative for searching for planets in other solar systems. We have the assets in space and on the ground. And what you're referring to is a recent announcement from the Spitzer Space Telescope that they found around a red dwarf called TRAPPIST-1, this system that has 7 planets orbiting. They're all orbiting in orbits. This red dwarf is smaller than our sun and cooler.
But they're closer.
And so these planets are orbiting within very close to the sun, within the orbit that Mercury occupies around our sun, and some of them are very close to each other. And so based on the calculations that scientists have done, they find that 3 of these 7 planets are within what's called the habitable zone. So there's probably conditions that could support water, could support life as we know it.
Wow.
And so we're very excited about getting the Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope up in orbit in the next couple of years to be able to take some more specific and dedicated measurements of the system. We know a lot from the measurements of the various assets we have now, but there's a lot more to learn about this system.
And if I understand it, the way in which some of these measurements happen are as simple as seeing when they pass in front of the dwarf, the amount of light they block. Is that right?
Right.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But we're going to be able to get even a much better idea when we get this new telescope up. Compare this to Hubble. What is the difference?
Oh, it builds on what Hubble has achieved, but it goes a few steps further. So it's going to be spectacular. James Webb, it's called.
The James Webb Telescope.
Yes, yeah. But this TRAPPIST-1 system is still 40 light years away. So
it's a long ways.
Even as we invest in human space exploration now, we're going to need some advanced propulsion technologies or teleportation or something to be able to get ourselves there. But someday it'll be, it won't be us or our kids.
I love that you said teleportation.
But it'll someday.
Yeah, you guys you're thinking way outside the box.
That's what we do.
Oh man, I am so thrilled. You'll be speaking this evening at the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy, their event, which is?
Yeah, so the World Affair Lecture Series is tonight, 7 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
Westminster College campus in the Jewett Center for the Performing Arts, and there's no reservations, no tickets required. Just show up.
Wow.
And get ready to learn.
Indeed. Well,
So I've got a lot of pictures and a lot of stories, and we'll talk about the future and the role of international partnerships.
Well, I know that there's so many countries that all want to see a peaceful exploration of space together. It's how we're going to be able to do the impressive things that we want to do. It's going to take all of the human power we have on this planet to make it happen.
That's right.
I want to thank you so very much for being here and sharing some time with us. It's just been just an absolute joy. Thank you
for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a lot more coming up on the Mountain Morning Show. I wouldn't want to follow her up at all, but somebody out there in the green room is going to have to do it. And that comes up right after these messages right here on Park City Television.